All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So here are the latest clips of Victor Boniface arriving in Milan as he seeks to sign a one-year contract with Milan. First, he's going to start with medical, which is obviously planned out for today. I think around 4 p.m. was when it was, scheduled that he would undergo those medicals. So it's probably happening right now. And if everything comes out well, then he's going to sign that contract that keeps him at the club for the next 1 year. It's going to end in June of 2026. And then if at the end of the day the contract, if Boniface, checks out some of the terms of the contract, such as scores a certain number of goals, makes certain amount of appearances, stays fit, for a certain duration, then obviously the club might be pushed to sign him on a permanent basis. But if they want to do so, they are going to have to pay an extra 25 million euros to join with the 5 million euros that they've paid uh for this loan spell. So that's some of the details in the contract. But there have been a couple of reactions, across the media, ex-internationals, ex-coaches, football players and things like that. And then from what I'm seeing, it's not really very, very favorable to Boniface. It's very critical of him, particularly one reaction coming from a very popular Italian media called Gazzetta. They came out to criticize Victor Boniface in terms of his injury and question if Milan are actually making the right decision in deciding to sign Victor Boniface, knowing fully well the history of injuries that he has had throughout his career, back in the Bodoji limit days to Brian Leverkusen days, things like that. And then there's also Fabio Capello, former coach of the side, who always keeps a close eye on this AC Milan team. Every time they want to bring someone in or sell someone, it feels like he always has a say or an opinion about who to bring in or who not to bring in. He had that opinion as well when Samuel Chukwueze, one of our players, was also brought in, and he was very critical about Samuel Chukwueze. I can't forget, and he's also been the same with Victor Boniface's issue, and he's also citing the same issue of injury, here and there, and question why Milan had to forgo Hoyland of Manchester United, which they initially showed interest on, and decided to settle for Boniface. He said that it doesn't really make a lot of sense to him because, yes, Boniface is a very gifted player. He's very technical. He's someone that he likes his style of play, but at the end of the day, he has a lot of injury issues, and he's coming into a new league, new country where he has not been tested before. So he might need some time settling in, and that may not work in Milan's favor. He argued that if Milan had gone on to buy Hoyland from Man United, it would have been very easy for him to suit him because he had played previously with Atalanta Football Club. So it's a league that he already knows. So it won't be so hard for him to settle in. Just to share what they have said, starting with Gazzetta, a very popular publication in Italy, said this about Victor Boniface. Boniface has been struggling with injuries in recent years. Back at Bodo Limit, his first professional club in Europe, Boniface suffered two serious cruciate ligament injuries, first in March of 2019 and then in November of 2020. His fitness issues continued at Bayern Leverkusen mainly from January 2024 when he was forced out of action for 3 months due to an abductor injury. A few months later, in November of the same year, he missed 12 matches because of a thigh problem. Whether his spell at Milan will be successful depends mostly on luck and fitness. That is what they are saying, that it's going to be luck, if he succeeds, at AC Milan. But then there's Fabio Capello who said after a long negotiation with Hoyland, the mercenary have turned to Victor Boniface, gambling on a technically gifted striker, but one that has been stopped too often due to physical problems. In addition, the Nigerian coming in from Bayern Leverkusen will need time to settle into Serie A, while the Dane from Manchester United would have been a ready-to-go striker, given his experience with Atalanta. That is what Fabio Capello has said. Well, I mean, it seems very reasonable from, especially, the perspective of Fabio Capello. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sure AC Milan saw something inside of Victor Boniface that made them decide to go for him, rather than Hoyland. But besides these very harsh criticisms from Capello and Gazetta, someone is actually very excited and happy that Victor Boniface is joining his side, and that person is Rafael Leao. He's one of the most important players in the AC Milan squad, and for him, he feels that Victor Boniface is a very, very unique player who he loves his style. He's watched his goals and how he plays, and he likes the fact that Boniface is joining AC Milan. For him, he said that they are going to have a lot of fun together because they play in similar style, because both of them are very technical and really they can really work well. Develop some good connections, and who knows, do some great things this season. So Rafael Leao is really, really happy to see Victor Boniface join in AC Milan. And I think that's the most important thing. If your teammate is happy, to play with you, I think it's far more important than what commentators outside, like Fabio Capello and the newspaper, are saying. Uh, you know, but let me know your thoughts about it. Do you think it's actually a good idea for Boniface to join AC Milan? But moving on, guys, Pastor Taribo West has come out to criticize the NFF for how they abandoned one of our legends who recently passed away. I'm talking about Peter Rufai in the burial rites that was done recently. Pastor Taribo West came out to give an interview where he was very emotional. He was angry. He was very bitter. Because of how, according to him, he said the NFF abandoned or almost completely abandoned you know, uh, uh, Peter Rufan and his family. They didn't really come through for them in terms of helping them financially and otherwise to make sure that the legend was laid to rest, peacefully. And the most annoying part for Pastor Taribo West is that the fact that he says this is like a continuing culture in the sport, whereby we see our legends who have done so well for the country. And when they die or when they are sick or when they have problems, NFF and other sporting, bodies who are supposed to take some sort of responsibility, they just tend to abandon these legends as if they didn't do anything for the country. So this is a part where Taribo West was very bitter about. He said the most painful part was when the Legends family started asking for money from he and his colleagues, in their group, asking them for support to lay the Legend to rest. So that was very, very crushing for him emotionally. That he had not seen anything like this. In fact, because of this attitude, Taribo West even mentioned in the interview that he can't allow his son to play for Nigeria to put his foot, for the country because of how badly the NFF and the government treats professional footballers when they retire or when they are demised and need these bodies to come out and help them. In his words, he said a number of things, but the most important ones I'm just going to read out to you here. And he said, "I would never advise even my son to put his foot for this country. Could you imagine that the family would be crying just to solicit within our groups to ask for money? This is madness. Look, please let me go. I don't want to pour out my heart." It's disheartening that you have Lagos State, you have the Nigerian Football Federation. They dropped the buck on the family. I felt in my spirit that there is nothing to put your life for. That's why I say I have to shift back so that I will not implode. It's grieving. My mother passed on. I never shed tears. My father passed on in my hands. I never shed tears. When Rufai passed on, I had goose pimples on my body. And for every individual I'm speaking to, there were tears rolling down my cheeks. These were part of the things that he said. And then he went on to say that famous line that he would not allow his son put his leg for the country, which just shows you how deeply painful this must feel for him, not just for him, but also his sets, those legends who are still alive, living legends, and how they will have felt when they see that NFF and Lagos State FA, and all of these bodies that are supposed to be in charge of these professionals, these legends, and take care of them. Because I mean, rightfully so, because even the presidency, for example, when Buhari died, it was the presidency that took care of everything, in terms of transportation, even the medical bill and everything before he died. So these guys are people that serve the country. I don't see any reason why they should not be given that same privileges, when it's rightfully supposed to be theirs to enjoy. But let me know what you think about it. That's what's happening. That's the situation in Nigeria. It keeps happening every single time. But that's the update, guys. Leave your thoughts on any of the stories.